Beloved one, lift your head and listen. There are whispers circling around you, voices commenting on your clothing, your style, your appearance, your choices. They speak as though their words can define you. But hear this truth: no mortal tongue has the authority to name what heaven has already claimed. You were not woven together so delicately, so intentionally, so brilliantly, simply to bow beneath the weight of opinions that come and go like dust on the wind. Your garment is not cloth alone. Your garment is dignity. Your garment is purpose. Your garment is light stitched into form. Let them talk. Let them murmur. Let them watch, for they are not talking about a mistake. They are talking about someone who stands out with the courage to be authentic. Do not shrink. Do not dim. Do not fold yourself into smaller shapes to fit the narrow thoughts of those who cannot see your calling. Walk as you were meant to walk, steadfast, radiant, unashamed. For there is an authority upon you that speaks louder than gossip, stronger than judgment, and purer than pride. You are not dressed in mere fabric. You are dressed in strength, conviction, and the glory of one who was crafted with intention. And hear this: those who whisper about you are not your enemies. They are the evidence that you bear something noticeable, something weighty, something heaven-marked. So go forward. Carry yourself with the same confidence the Creator used when forming you. Let your steps be bold. Let your appearance reflect your soul. And let your presence be a reminder that no earthly commentary will ever overshadow a divine identity. Stand, shine, continue. The voices of others are but echoes. Your purpose is the thunder. Your identity exists beyond human judgment because it was not formed in the shallow wells of human perception. Before a single person had the opportunity to measure you against their standards, opinions, or expectations, you already carried a meaning that transcends all earthly evaluation. Human judgment is limited, shaped by experience, bias, insecurity, and incomplete understanding. But your identity is not limited. It comes from a place that sees not just who you are in this moment, but who you are in your fullness, in your depth, and in the unseen layers that no one else has ever touched. Human judgment often comes from the outside in, but your identity was crafted from the inside out. What people see is a fraction. What you are is a whole universe they cannot comprehend. People judge what they think they understand, but most of the time they do not understand at all. They judge the way you dress, the expression on your face, the choices you make, the energy you carry, the confidence you display, or the silence you keep. They judge from glimpses, moments, and assumptions. But your identity stretches far beyond those moments. You are not a snapshot. You are a story. You are not a surface. You are a soul. Even when you try to explain yourself, people can only interpret you through the lens of their own experiences. Some lenses are clear. Many are cracked. Some magnify flaws that aren't real. Others shrink your greatness into something small enough for them to understand. but your identity does not bend itself to fit their lens. When you realize this, you begin to loosen the grip that judgment once had on you. You start to see that the opinions people form about you say more about their understanding than your essence. You stop trying to correct every misconception or justify every decision. You stop wasting your breath trying to teach your soul to those not equipped to understand its language. You start to walk with the unshakable awareness that your identity is grounded in something higher, something that does not shift with moods, gossip, or misunderstandings. You are not tethered to the perceptions of the crowd, you are tethered to something eternal. Human judgment is temporary. It changes as quickly as people do. Someone may judge you harshly one day and admire you the next. Both responses are unstable, but your identity remains constant because it is sourced from something that does not waver. The divine intention behind your creation does not weaken when someone fails to see your worth. It does not change when someone misunderstands your intentions. It does not fade when someone misreads your character. What was placed within you remains untouchable. No comment, no criticism, no rumor, and no opinion can alter the truth of who you are. And yet, people often speak with such confidence about things they cannot comprehend. They talk as if their perspective is the ultimate truth. But the truth is this: no one sees you fully. Not a single human being has access to every layer of your spirit, every memory that shaped you, every quiet victory you survived, every battle you fought alone, every wound you healed from without applause. No one sees the moments you held yourself together when everything inside you felt like it was falling apart. No one sees the prayers, the hopes, the fears, the resilience, the strength that does not show on your face. And because they cannot see it, they cannot judge it accurately. Their judgment is partial, but your identity is whole. So when people criticize you, it isn't a reflection of your truth. It is a reflection of their limits. Some judge from jealousy, some from fear, some from ignorance, some from projection, and some because it is easier to critique another than to confront their own reflection. Rarely does judgment come from a place of deep understanding. And since your identity is rooted in a place above these limitations, their words cannot anchor themselves in your soul unless you allow them to. You exist beyond their judgment because you were created with a purpose that they did not design. They did not write your story. They did not breathe life into your being. They did not shape your purpose. Therefore, they have no authority to define or diminish it. Their role in your life is temporary, but your identity is eternal. When someone speaks about you, they are speaking from the outside looking in, but your identity was formed from the inside reaching outward. There is a vast difference between those two directions. One is shallow, one is profound. One is fleeting, the other is everlasting. When you adopt this understanding, you begin to walk differently. You stop performing for approval. You stop shrinking for comfort. You stop dressing, speaking, living, and choosing based on what others might think. Judgment becomes background noise, present, but irrelevant. You no longer hand over your power to those who do not know your truth. You carry yourself with a quiet intensity that comes from knowing who you are without needing validation. You move with intention, not insecurity. You speak with clarity, not fear, and even in silence your presence carries strength. The more deeply you accept that your identity lives beyond human evaluation, the more freedom you experience. You no longer fear judgment because you understand its insignificance. You no longer crave approval because you understand its instability. You no longer internalize criticism because you understand its inaccuracy. Instead, you ground yourself in the one truth that remains unshakable. Your identity is anchored in the divine, not in the fleeting opinions of those who see only a fragment of your story. So let people talk. Let them guess. Let them misunderstand if they must. Their judgment does not change your truth. Their perception does not shape your purpose. Their words do not touch the core of your being. You exist beyond their reach, beyond their comprehension, and beyond their authority. Your identity is not something they can grant, and therefore not something they can take away. Opinions cannot rewrite what was divinely established because what is divine is not open to revision, negotiation, or alteration by temporary voices. The essence of who you are, your purpose, your value, your design, was spoken into existence with intention before anyone formed an opinion about you. Opinions belong to the realm of the moment. Your identity belongs to the realm of eternity. The two cannot be compared. A divine establishment is firm, rooted, and enduring. Opinions are shifting, fragile, and influenced by passing emotions. What people think of you may change every day, but what was placed within you does not move. People form opinions based on what they see, but what they see is limited. They see the outward expression, the clothing, the attitude of a particular moment, the decisions you make with the information you have at the time. They see glimpses, not the whole. They see surfaces, not depths. They see chapters, not the full story. So how could their opinions ever carry enough authority to redefine what has been written into your spirit since the beginning? It is impossible. Their judgment may be loud, but it is not accurate. Their criticism may be sharp, but it cannot cut into the core of who you truly are. Even when people speak with conviction, their words are born from their own world. Their upbringing, fears, insecurities, beliefs, and biases. None of these things are reflections of who you are. They are reflections of who they are. When someone tells you who they think you should be, they are not speaking from divine insight. They are speaking from the narrowness of their personal experience. And because human experience is limited, human opinion is limited. A limited perspective cannot overwrite an identity shaped by infinite intention. What is divine does not crumble when misunderstood. It does not shrink under scrutiny. It does not dissolve when someone disapproves. The divine establishment of your identity is like a foundation carved into rock, unmoved by the storms of perception. Opinions may strike against it like wind and rain, but the structure remains untouched. People may speak, guess, judge, or assume, but their words fall apart when they collide with truth. Truth does not bend. It does not need validation. It does not change to make itself acceptable. Who you are at your core remains solid. Many people live their entire lives trying to please opinions that were never meant to be authorities. They dress for approval, speak for acceptance, walk in the direction others expect them to go, and in doing so, they abandon pieces of themselves. But the moment you recognize that opinions cannot rewrite divine identity, you reclaim your power. You stop giving weight to voices that were never meant to shape you. You stop letting commentary dictate your self-worth. You stop shrinking because someone else feels threatened by your authenticity. You stop apologizing for being who you were created to be. There is a difference between adjusting yourself for growth and adjusting yourself for approval. Growth is aligned with your divine identity. Approval seeks to change it. Growth expands you. Approval dims you. Growth comes from within. Approval seeks external permission. When someone offers an opinion, ask yourself, does this align with who I am at my core? Does it bring clarity or confusion? Does it build or diminish? Many opinions seek to reduce you to something predictable, familiar, or controllable. But nothing divine is meant to be controlled by the expectations of others. Divine establishment means that your identity carries intention that precedes explanation. Some people will not understand why you think the way you do, dress the way you do, move the way you do, dream the way you do. They will critique what they cannot comprehend. They will question what they cannot control. They will fear what they cannot categorize. But their discomfort has nothing to do with your design. It is not your responsibility to shrink your radiance to fit the dimness of someone else's understanding. The divine did not create you for approval. You were created for purpose. And purpose is often misunderstood at first glance. History shows that people often judge what they do not yet recognize. Greatness is regularly criticized before it is appreciated. Uncommon paths are often rejected before they are honored. Unique perspectives are often resisted before they are admired. So if people misunderstand you now, it does not diminish the power of what was placed inside you. Their inability to see does not erase what is real. Think of how many times people have changed their opinions about you over time. Someone who once disliked you began to respect you. Someone who doubted you later admired your strength. Someone who judged your appearance eventually copied your style. These shifts prove that opinions are unstable. If they can change once, they can change again. And if opinions can shift so easily, why should they hold authority over the identity that never changes? The divine is consistent. People are inconsistent. The divine is eternal. People are temporary. The divine speaks truth. People speak assumptions. And assumptions cannot rewrite what was spoken with eternal clarity. When you internalize this truth, you begin to rise above the noise. You walk with a sense of inner certainty that others cannot shake. You move in confidence, because you understand that your identity does not belong to the world, It belongs to the one who created it. This kind of confidence is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is the quiet, steady assurance that you are rooted in something unshakable. So let opinions come and go. Let people talk. Let them guess. Let them whisper. Their words cannot rewrite your purpose, your worth, or your truth. They cannot alter what was placed within you before they ever formed a thought about you. You are not here to satisfy the expectations of those who do not understand your calling. You are here to live the identity that was divinely established, untouched, unshaken, and unchangeable. Your worth is not tied to validation from others, because validation is one of the most unreliable currencies a person can depend on. It rises and falls with emotions, personal biases, shifting social standards, and the fleeting attention of people who often do not even understand themselves, let alone you. If your worth were truly anchored to validation, it would mean your identity could be dismantled every time someone disapproved, misunderstood, or ignored you. But your worth does not move like that. It does not crumble when someone rejects you, nor does it grow when someone praises you. Worth that is tied to divinity is steady, constant, and immune to the fluctuations of human recognition. Human validation is often given based on conditions. Behave this way, and you'll be accepted. Dress this way, and you'll be admired. Speak this way, and you'll be noticed. But true worth exists with or without applause. It remains even in silence. It was present long before the first person ever complimented you, and it will remain long after the last person who approves of you has faded from your life. When you allow others to determine your value, you hand them a power they were never meant to hold. You place your sense of self in hands that are unsteady and hearts that are frequently confused. You begin to adjust yourself not for growth, but for approval. And approval is a poor master. There are people who will only validate you when you fit their expectations. There are people who will withdraw their validation when your growth challenges their comfort. There are people who will never validate you simply because your existence reminds them of everything they haven't become. And there are people who will validate you one day and judge you the next, because their view of you depends on their mood, their insecurities, or what others are saying about you. This instability proves that validation is not a reliable source of identity. It may feel good in the moment, but it cannot sustain you in times of difficulty, misunderstanding, or isolation. Only intrinsic worth can do that. When you detach your worth from validation, something powerful happens. You stop performing. You stop bending yourself to please shifting crowds. You stop dressing for approval, speaking for applause, or shaping your personality to match what others want from you. You begin to live from a place of authenticity rather than expectation. Your confidence is no longer borrowed from the reactions of others. It grows from within. It becomes something rooted, something real, something stable. People often chase validation because society teaches that being liked is the same as being worthy. But being liked is often a reflection of compatibility, convenience, or shared perspectives, not value. Some of the most impactful individuals in history were rejected in their time because they didn't fit the mold society wanted them to fill. Their worth was not diminished by the lack of validation. Instead, their worth was revealed in the strength they carried despite the lack of it. This pattern repeats itself constantly in everyday life. When you challenge the norms, people resist. When you stand in truth, people become uncomfortable. When you grow, people who remain stagnant feel threatened. Their lack of validation in these moments says nothing about your value. It simply reveals where they are in their own journey. You were not created to be universally accepted. You were created to be purposeful. And purpose is often misunderstood. If you allow misunderstanding to make you question your worth, you will always feel lost. But if you anchor your worth in something deeper, you become unshakable. You become someone who can walk into a room without needing permission to belong. You become someone who can face criticism without internalizing it. You become someone who can hear silence instead of applause, and still know your value has not changed. Consider how validation works in real life. There are days when you look at yourself and feel confident, capable, radiant. Then someone comments negatively on something, your outfit, your choices, your voice, your goals, and suddenly your confidence feels threatened. Did your worth actually change? No. The only thing that changed was your perception. The moment you allow someone else's words to influence your self-image, you give them power over your identity. But when you understand that your worth does not move according to the world's reactions, their words lose their authority. Validation can motivate, but it should never define. Compliments can inspire, but they should never anchor your sense of self. Praise is nice, but it is not foundational. What is foundational is your inner knowing, the quiet, steady awareness that you have value simply because you exist, not because of what you produce, not because of how you look, not because of how others respond to you. You carry value inherently, deeply, and unconditionally. People who chase validation often feel empty even when they receive it, because external approval can never fill internal voids. It only masks them temporarily. True fulfillment comes from embracing the truth that you are already enough. You may improve, grow, evolve, but none of these things happen to make you worthy. They happen because you already are. Growth is an expression of worth, not a requirement for it. When you stop needing validation, you free yourself. You free your mind, your creativity, your expression, your style, your voice. You allow yourself to exist fully, without worrying about being too much or not enough. You stop fearing judgment, because judgment has no power over someone who understands their worth. You stop seeking reassurance because you trust your inner foundation. You stop craving praise because you do not need it to feel secure. And here is the quiet truth most people never realize. When you no longer need validation, you actually receive more of it. People feel drawn to those who don't beg for approval. Confidence is magnetic. Authenticity is attractive. Self-acceptance creates a presence that others notice. But even then, the validation becomes something you appreciate, not something you depend on. That is the difference between freedom and bondage. Your worth is not determined by applause. It is not diminished by criticism. It is not measured by whether people understand you. Your worth is something eternal, unearned, and unshakable. No one gave it to you, and therefore no one can take it away. Criticism reflects the speaker, not your value, because every judgment a person makes emerges from their own internal landscape, long before it reaches you. People speak from their experiences, insecurities, beliefs, fears, biases, and emotional wounds. Their words are shaped by their perception, not by your truth. When someone criticizes you, they are often revealing what they carry inside, not what you lack. Whether it is the way you dress, the choices you make, the confidence you show, or the path you walk, their commentary is filtered through the lens of their personal history. That lens may be distorted, cracked, fogged, or completely misaligned, and yet people still speak as if their perspective is the absolute truth. But it isn't. It is merely a reflection of who they are in that moment. Think of how two people can see the same situation, but interpret it completely differently. One might admire your boldness, while another criticizes it. One may see your outfit as expressive, while another sees it as inappropriate. One may view your silence as strength, another as arrogance. These contradictions reveal the truth. The judgment says nothing definite about you. It only shows what the person sees based on who they are. If their heart is insecure, they will judge your confidence harshly. If their mind is limited by tradition, they will judge your individuality. If their spirit is unsettled, they will judge your peace. People respond to you according to the battles they are fighting internally, even if those battles have nothing to do with you. This is why taking criticism personally is often a mistake. Doing so assumes that the critic is speaking with clarity, understanding, and fairness. But many critics are speaking from unresolved pain or unexamined assumptions. When someone criticizes you quickly or harshly, it often signals something within them: jealousy, comparison, fear, confusion, discomfort, or insecurity. Their reaction is a mirror of their inner world. It reflects their limitations, not your identity. Instead of absorbing their words and allowing them to shape your self-image, recognize them for what they are: projections. People project their fears onto others. Someone who is afraid to be bold will criticize you for being bold. Someone who struggles with self-esteem will criticize your confidence. Someone who suppresses their own individuality will resent your freedom. Someone who conforms to the expectations of others will judge your willingness to be different. You become a walking reminder of what they wish they could express but don't know how. Their criticism is not about you. It is about their inability to inhabit their own truth. Even well-intentioned people can criticize from a limited perspective. They may believe they are helping, guiding, or protecting you, but they are still filtering their judgment through their personal belief system. And belief systems are shaped by culture, upbringing, tradition, fear, and conditioning. What someone sees as wrong might just be unfamiliar to them. What someone calls unacceptable might simply be something they were taught to fear. What someone labels as inappropriate may be something they never had the courage to embrace. When you understand this, criticism begins to lose its power. You stop seeing it as a reflection of your worth and start seeing it as information about the critic. There is also a tendency for people to criticize what they cannot control. When someone cannot place you into a category that makes them comfortable, they begin to judge you. When your spirit is too free, your voice too strong, your presence too noticeable, it disrupts the quiet conformity they rely on. Instead of asking themselves why your freedom makes them uncomfortable, they criticize you to restore their sense of control. Again, this reflects their need for predictability, not your value. Criticism is also often rooted in misunderstanding. People rarely take the time to fully understand someone before forming an opinion. They see one moment, one outfit, one expression, one decision, and build an entire narrative around it. But their narrative is incomplete. It lacks context, history, nuance, and truth. They fill in the gaps with assumptions, and call those assumptions facts. That is not a reflection of who you are. It is a result of their impatience or unwillingness to seek understanding. Sometimes criticism comes simply because people feel threatened. Your presence may challenge them to grow. Your confidence may highlight their insecurities. Your progress may trigger their sense of stagnation. Your uniqueness may expose their fear of stepping out. Instead of admitting these feelings, they convert them into criticism. This transformation is easier for them to process, because tearing you down feels safer than confronting their own discomfort. But again, this is about them, not you. If criticism truly reflected your value, everyone would have the same opinion of you. But they don't. Some people love what others hate. Some admire what others mock. Some are inspired by what others misunderstand. This proves that the criticism comes from the critic's internal landscape, not from your identity. If your worth fluctuated with their words, you would live a fragmented, unstable existence. But your worth is not fragile. It cannot be broken by someone's limited viewpoint. When you accept that criticism reflects the speaker, you gain emotional freedom. You no longer break under negative words. You no longer explain yourself to those who are not seeking understanding. You no longer dim your expression to avoid judgment. You stop responding from insecurity and begin responding from clarity. When someone criticizes you, you can calmly assess whether the criticism contains wisdom or simply reveals the critic's internal state. You become rooted enough to discern rather than absorb. This understanding also gives you compassion. Instead of reacting with defensiveness, you begin to see the pain, fear, or confusion behind someone's harsh words. You recognize that many people who criticize are struggling with battles you cannot see. Some are lost. Some are hurting. some are afraid, some are trying to navigate their own insecurities. Their criticism becomes less of a personal attack and more of a window into their inner world. That doesn't mean you accept disrespect, but it means you no longer internalize it. When you stop tying your worth to criticism, you become unshakable. You no longer seek approval to feel valid. You no longer crumble when someone disapproves. You no longer live your life trying to avoid judgment. You understand that being judged is inevitable, but being diminished by judgment is optional. You begin walking in your truth with the assurance that your value remains intact, regardless of who sees it, questions it, or misunderstands it. Your worth is constant, independent, and invulnerable. Criticism may speak loudly, but it does not speak truth about your identity. It speaks truth only about the one who gives it. And once you understand this, you reclaim every piece of power you ever gave to the judgments of others. You walk with purpose that cannot be diminished, because the intention behind your existence is stronger than every opinion, barrier, assumption, or misunderstanding placed in your path. Purpose is not something you put on like clothing. It is something woven into your being. It lives in your spirit, your thoughts, your instincts, your passions, your dreams, and even in the quiet whispers of moments when you feel unsure. Purpose is not fragile. It does not vanish because someone doubts you. It does not weaken because someone criticizes you. It does not fade because others fail to recognize it. Purpose is enduring, steady, persistent, and rooted in something far greater than public approval. When you carry purpose, it shows, even when you attempt to hide it. There is something different about the way you move, the way you think, the way you speak, the way you create, and the way you choose. People notice it even if they don't understand it. Some will admire it, some will misunderstand it, some will challenge it, some will feel threatened by it. But none of these reactions have the ability to reduce or erase the purpose written within you. Their reactions speak only to their own vision, not to your assignment. Purpose is not dependent on circumstances either. You can be surrounded by doubt and still rise. You can walk through seasons of confusion and still be guided by an inner compass. You can face setbacks and still find your way forward. Purpose adapts, evolves, strengthens, and persists. Even when life seems to break you down, purpose has a way of rebuilding you stronger than before. There are times when you feel like you've lost direction, but purpose remains waiting beneath the surface, ready to reawaken as soon as you realign with your truth. There is a reason you feel drawn to certain things, a reason certain dreams refuse to leave your heart, a reason you feel restless when you try to fit into places that do not align with who you are. Purpose resists confinement. It refuses to shrink to please others. Whenever you try to silence it, it speaks louder. Whenever you try to hide it, it shines through your cracks. Purpose is persistent because it was never designed to be ignored. It is the engine behind your existence, the spiritual force that pulls you toward what is meaningful. Walking with purpose means that your steps are not random, even if they seem uncertain. Every lesson, every setback, every success, every disappointment, every conversation, every closed door, and every new opportunity contributes to the unfolding of your path. Even detours carry meaning. Even delays shape you. Even obstacles train you. When you see your life through the lens of purpose, nothing feels wasted. Everything becomes part of the preparation. People who don't understand your purpose will try to define your path for you. They will judge your choices, question your direction, and offer opinions based on their own fears. They may tell you that your dreams are too big, too unrealistic, or too unconventional. They may try to confine you to the limits of their vision, but your purpose was not given to them. It was given to you. Therefore, they do not have the authority to diminish it. Their words cannot shrink what was never meant to fit in their understanding. Sometimes even you may doubt your purpose. There are seasons when you feel worn out, discouraged, or disconnected. You may question whether you're on the right path. You may wonder if you're strong enough or capable enough. But the fact that you can feel purpose calling you, even in your lowest moments, is proof that it is still alive within you. Purpose does not disappear when you struggle. It stands by you until you rise again. It waits for you to remember who you are. Walking with purpose also means carrying a certain resilience. You may not recognize it, but every time you rise after being pushed down, every time you continue after being underestimated, every time you pursue your truth despite judgment or pressure, you demonstrate your resilience. This resilience is evidence of purpose. Without purpose, you would have abandoned your path long ago. Without purpose, you would have broken under the weight of other people's expectations. Without purpose, you would have remained quiet in moments where you felt called to speak, create, or lead. The reason you keep going is because something inside you refuses to let you surrender. When you walk with purpose, you leave an imprint. The way you show up in the world influences people around you more than you realize. Some will find courage through your authenticity. Some will find hope through your perseverance. Some will find clarity through your example. You walking in purpose becomes permission for others to walk in theirs. You become a living reminder that destiny does not bow to opinions, that truth does not shrink for comfort, and that individuality has power. Purpose also protects you. It keeps you from settling for less than you were made for. It keeps you from remaining in places that stifle your growth. It keeps you from forming connections that drain your spirit. Purpose guides you toward environments, people, and opportunities that align with your destiny. Even when you don't understand why certain things fall apart, or certain people leave your life, purpose is at work, removing what could hinder your path. Your purpose cannot be diminished, because it is anchored in divine intention, not in external circumstances. It was not formed out of your fears, so it cannot be destroyed by them. It was not created by approval, so it cannot be erased by rejection. It was not shaped by human perception, so it cannot be altered by human misunderstanding. Your purpose is rooted in something eternal, which means no temporary experience can undo it. The way you walk, the way you carry yourself, the way you rise after being knocked down, all of it reveals that you are being guided by something greater. Even when you don't feel confident, purpose walks with you. Even when you don't have all the answers, purpose leads you. Even when you're surrounded by doubt, purpose shines through your actions. You are not aimless. You are not wandering. You are not lost. You are becoming, and despite everything you have faced, despite everything others have said, despite every challenge that tried to break you, you are still moving, still evolving, still pushing forward. That alone is proof that your purpose cannot be diminished. It lives in you, breathes through you, and will continue unfolding no matter who approves or disapproves. You walk with intention, with reason, with destiny at your side, and nothing, not criticism, not judgment, not obstacles, not fear, can diminish what you were created to become.